How can you identify a potential cheater? I mean, it's not like they walk around with a big neon sign on their heads, although that would be kind of nice, wouldn't it? And while there are no surefire ways to determine who will cheat and who won't, there are some traits and characteristics that you can look for that will help you identify a cheater before it's too late. Those who cheat often cannot handle emotional discomfort. They struggle with those difficult conversations. They have a very hard time talking about their feelings, especially the uncomfortable ones. And so, when difficult situations or emotions come up, people that are more prone to cheat often run or change the conversation. Sometimes they'll use humor to deflect it. Perhaps they shut down, just blatantly refusing to talk about it at all. Sometimes they even turn it back towards you, painting you out as being the difficult one, when in reality it's their own emotions that they can't face. Those who cheat often outsource their emotional regulation. If they're feeling insecure, they look to others to give them attention and accolades, to make them feel like they're worthy. If they're anxious, they may use sex to make them feel better in the moment. Instead of learning how to self-soothe, how to regulate their own emotions, they look to those around them to make them feel better. They have not learned how to name and accept myriad emotional responses as, well, simply a side effect of being human. Instead, they become fearful when emotions run high. But of course, they can't accept that fear either. So they tend to dismiss it entirely or stuff it deep into their shame sack where they can just pretend that it doesn't exist. Those who cheat often fail to recognize the impact of their own traumas. We all have childhood trauma of some sort, and we all tend to replay that out in our adulthood. And for most of us, that becomes an opportunity for growth and for healing. Yet those who have a propensity for infidelity remain ignorant of how those traumas impact them. And instead of learning and growing, they reenact those traumas in unhealthy and damaging ways. Now, this one can be a tricky one to recognize. Those who cheat want you to be happy. And I know that sometimes that sounds strange. But here's the thing, they want you to be happy because if you are not happy, it makes them uncomfortable. And as we talked about, they don't want to be uncomfortable. So they want you to be happy not for your own well-being, but for theirs. So pay attention to how they respond when you are having a bad day. Do they downplay it? Do they dismiss it? Do they try to distract you from it? Whose pain are they really trying to alleviate? Yours or their own? So what characteristics then are a sign that somebody isn't likely to cheat? Well, what you're looking for is somebody who has courage, somebody who will have those hard conversations, who will face those difficult truths rather than hiding from them or dismissing them. You are looking for somebody who will own up to their mistakes and take responsibility for their actions. In many ways, the mistakes matter less than how they handle them. Look for somebody who is willing to be vulnerable. Look for somebody who is willing to talk about those things that bring them shame. And then on your side, be careful about overreacting to anything that they do say. Make sure that you give them space to share their fears, their vulnerabilities, their shame. Radical honesty isn't always easy. It is definitely not always comfortable, but it is powerful. Now, ultimately, there are no guarantees that somebody's not going to cheat on you. But by looking for these early warning signs, you can certainly stack the odds a little more in your favor.